you're getting recorded today, Mr. Griggs?
I'm getting recorded. Yeah, Sally's out of town, will be out for 2 weeks.
Ah.
So she asked if I would record it, so she could see the lecture.
Oh, okay.
So it's going now.
Hi, Brian.
Got it set up yet.
Oh, were you able to find out what I can do about my computer having to stay here?
I talked to Dale about it. Is he not spoken with you?
Not yet. And he's got class.
Yeah.
So, let's go talk to him.
Catch him a break if you
Okay.
can.
All right. Thank you.
On the way. Don't need to come.
She got put out today, not me.
Yep.
Boy,
I need something though.
that's what I need, is something to keep me awake the rest of the night.
Whoa.
I don't like text.
I have no printer in front of me.
Do they have the tax things downstairs, or did they email them to us?
They're on Learning Studio. Log into Learning Studio. Or that portal thingy.
Oh,
Yeah.
great, I can't get into that one.
You can't get into it?
Where all of our assignments are?
No.
No,
Oh.
I can't get into this, the student portal, right? Is that what you're talking about? Yeah, see, I can't get in there.
Oh, it just went and kicked my things out. Can we get those downstairs?
The forms?
Uh-huh. Because I have no printer.
I don't know what Eli worked out as an alternative.
Okay.
Check with the receptionist, maybe she's got some directive on that.
Okay.
Now, she's got access to the slides, right?
Yeah, they're online.
Yeah, they're online.
So she doesn't really need to hear to see the slides
No,
perfectly.
She got the slides,
Okay.
so she should be fine.
Okay.
So do we have you in class all day, all night?
No.
Just until this is over?
No, I'm gonna let Vaughn do both things. When you're done, if you want to just throw that in my box,
Okay.
and then I'll take care of it in the morning.
All right, that'll be great. Sally will be happy.
Charlie being sick. Oh, Mr. Griggs, I'm really, really sorry about Thursday.
You are? You weren't here.
I know. I'm really, really sorry.
I only had 3 out of 7 students last night.
3 out of 7?
3 out of 7. I dismissed
Where you
them,
get the
said,
flu?
"Well,
What, or,
Everybody was sick and children problems, all kinds of things. So it was really unusual. But we got through it. Okay. This is the fun one tonight. Think that's possible?
Possibly. It'd be more fun than what I was dealing with Thursday night.
You had a child problem? No, what was it?
An ex problem.
Oh, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Why don't you just tell them to move out of state and have to deal with them?
I'm not my daughter's dad. It was my most current boyfriend that turned ex.
Oh, the turned ex.
Mm-hmm. Because he did not show me any type of respect or any consideration with living with me. Because I got home Tuesday night, found his ex-girlfriend and him in my front room on the couch, alone. So,
Anywho.
Next.
Can we please move on? No offense, but.
It,
Okay,
she's heard about it.
tonight we're going to talk about partnerships. We just got through talking about partnerships.
Hey, it just erupted right on into what we're talking
Yeah,
about.
I just did a great segue. Except these are organized partnerships.
This is where you had the legal stuff involved.
This is where you have the legal stuff involved. In that regard, kind of a sidelight to that, I worked for a guy once who was planning to do, who would have been his second marriage. And I was his controller, and I said to him, you know, you really ought to have a prenuptial. He had a couple of businesses, stuff like that. So we wrote a little prenuptial agreement. They both signed it and got married. Fortunately, or unfortunately, they got divorced, and fortunately, he had a prenup.
And he covered his butt.
And she was kind of that piece. A nice lady in a lot of ways. Her brother's just a wonderful guy. Okay, so partnerships, we're going to skip those. Partnerships come in many forms. I had a client in this afternoon that would probably buy his tax stuff. It's a father-son deal. Sometimes that's rocky, sometimes it's not. These are good people, and they actually are in an LLC. One of the things that we're talking about doing is switching to an S corp rather than LLC. The reason we would do that is so that they could pay themselves a salary rather than a draw. Some advantages to that.
Isn't that what Cook, Martin, and Polson started out with, like that just being like
Well,
Cook and Polson or something? Or
Well,
Cook, Martin?
they're probably an LLP. It's a limited liability professionals.
Ah, okay.
Usually the doctors and attorneys and CPAs are LLPs.
Okay.
Not always, but
For the most part?
LLPs protect each partner from each other.
Ah.
That's the reason.
I thought I saw LLC on their sign, but I
They
could be
could
wrong.
be, they could be an LLC, but it just depends. So we're going to talk mostly about partnerships. I said my battery is dead.
That would be why you're having a hard time changing slides.
And I've got extra battery here and on.
I don't think that
Sorry,
is so
Sally.
complicated.
Hang on, Sally. I don't have one, so I just have to do what I do.
What time does it take?
I don't want a AAA. They haven't got the
Do you want me to run down and grab
you
you
want to run
one?
down and get one for me?
I'll run down.
So I need a triple.
A AAA?
You can take this one with you.
Uh-huh.
They need to carry one, but I don't have one with me today. So Chad sits here eating in front of us all.
How polite of you.
I'll let you know in a minute how good it tastes.
Well, if you start burping, I don't know.
Well, he's eating corn chips, and so they are very good.
Actually, that know which way I was facing more than that.
Especially if you've got some ranch dip there, or some nacho dip, or almost anything.
Mm-hmm. Except don't
Actually,
try
you know,
mustard.
You know the best thing to eat those with? I know it's kind of gross, but it's that whipped vegetable garden that my work does, the whipped cut
Oh, is it? I never had that.
vegetable garden. Yeah, you eat those with like crackers and just plain chips. It's actually pretty good.
My favorite corn chip is the chili cheese.
Those are
I started those, now I can't put them down.
And then they also have the ones that are spiral.
Yeah, those are okay, but they're a little sweet for me. They don't quite match. It's a honey Morgan or something
I
like that.
think some of them, man, dude, you bite into, it's almost like ready to chip your tooth though, too. It's like,
But they're good. I like most of the corn chips. She must have found somebody, another partner down there.
that or else her ex is on the tables down there.
Yeah. Sorry, Sally. Hang in there. I've never done this before, except for I did that one time when I was being evaluated. Everybody would say she lost her way. Maybe they won't give it to her.
It's kind of funny. She went that way and he went that way.
And there she is. He just walked that way.
To go find me.
Oh, but do you find one?
Huh?
Do you find one? Brooke doesn't know where any of them are.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
So you didn't understand?
You know what, I bet if I stayed in one place, he'll find me. I figured that's the best
Did you
philosophy.
tend 14 too?
Did I do what?
Did you tend the problem? Very little of it.
Mm-hmm. I looked at it, tried it. I'm like,
Yeah. I don't remember going over combining the segments together.
what is that?
That was the quiz that we took on Monday.
It's not like a graded quiz, it's a quiz to know where we stand, where we need to work on.
We took it yesterday, we
But
had
we're
class
supposed to
yesterday.
take an actual one tonight that counts.
So I don't even get to do the, Brooke didn't know where they were,
Who didn't know where they were?
Brooke.
But you went the wrong place.
Oh, well,
She goes for the library.
I'm an idiot. There's your bad one.
Thank you.
I hear that, nobody's disagreeing with it.
Exactly. Nobody would disagree with me.
Is that open math and search but?
Yeah.
Who, me or him?
Both of us.
Depending on how you look at it.
Okay. Now it's changing, and I do have a pointer. Okay, partnerships. Partnerships can be anywhere from very, very loose to very explicit. And obviously, the ones that are explicit are usually reduced to writing. And we'll actually go through that shortly. So we'll waste your time here too, huh?
He missed us.
Yeah, kill two birds with one stone. So, I worked for some partnerships that are very loose and some are very, very tight. So we're going to look at co-owners of a business for profit. That's what they're basically there for. And it has to be at least two people or more for a partnership. The agreement could be as simple as, Chad, I'd like to go to business with you. Okay?
Sounds
And we're
great.
gonna build widgets. Okay?
Build what?
Widgets.
You know, major jobbers.
We're gonna build something and sell them.
Okay.
That's an agreement, right?
Yeah.
You know, we have no idea how it's gonna work. We're just set up in a partnership. That's how loose it's gonna be. Now down the road, we're gonna probably decide how to build these widgets and how to market them and who our customer base is gonna be, but to begin
Who's
with
gonna be in charge of
Chad and
what?
I are in business together as partners. It's that simple. Or sometimes the word implied is important. Now, what do we mean by implied?
I think that's like
Taking someone's strengths and pulling it into
percentage,
business.
right? Like the stipulations of the agreement.
Yeah, it's even actually looser than you and I have an agreement by shaking hands. My brother-in-law and I are not partners, but we do a lot of things together. We do. I don't actually invest, but I do a lot of work for him where he does investment and so on and so forth. We could be implied to be partners because we do things together in a very loose format. But if two people if another person on the outside looked at us and saw us doing these things together, they said they must be partners. And we'll treat them like partners. So that's an implied partnership. Or it could be Don and I have a loose agreement between us that we are a partnership. We're not gonna write anything out, we're not gonna have anything formal.
And
But
assumed.
we're an implied partnership.
So why don't they just put assumed on there? Because it's
Well,
an assumption by
it's-
other people.
You know, it's a nice educated statement, implied. Okay? So, the purpose, of course, is to operate it in profit. Obviously, we would operate it if we want to be at loss, would be. Members must be co-owners, no matter how many there are. It's a partnership. Here's some of the reasons that you may want to form a partnership. You want to pool your resources. Chad is really great with a bandsaw. And he can cut about anything he wants out, and I'm a great marketer. And so Chad can, in the back room, can be making these toys or whatever, and I can go out and market them. Well, I have a tool that maybe he doesn't have. He may not like driving around to the stores and doing it. He might like creating, see? So for doing that, we pool our interests and become partners in doing it. It's very uncommon for one person to have all the tools that it makes to become a good owner or a good businessman. It's usually somebody else behind the scenes or a part of it that helps with it. Partnerships are formed because well, Chad and I are partners. What are we going to build? Widgets. When I was in college, we had an example, we call them widgets. And so I still call them widgets, they're just things, whatever, okay? Not subject to much governmental regulation, in fact, almost none. It's Chad and I, there's nobody between us telling us what we have to do. Partners are able to operate with more flexibility, obviously, and income not subject to taxation at a partnership level. Because this is what's known as a part pass-through tax event. In other words, we make $100, depending on the situation, but we've agreed that it's 50-50. So we make $100, he puts $50 on his tax return, I put $50 on my tax return. It's called a pass-through partnership or a pass-through net profit or loss, okay? A pass-through. LLCs are pass-through, LLPs are pass-throughs. Subchapter S's are pass-through, meaning that the income from the company is passed through to the owners or the partners. But you've heard that before in other classes. That should be new to you. Now, there's another form of partnership called a general partnership. And in this one, the characteristics are that there's mutual agency among all the partners. Now, there would be with Chad, too. If Chad was really a bad guy and he said, I really need a new truck. My Dodge is a little old. How old is it?
04.
04? It's too old. He likes it every 4 years, right? So he goes out and he buys a truck in the company name. Does he have the right to do that? Yep.
Yeah.
You can find out present. He can bind me to the agreement because he and I are equal partners. And in this case, we are probably general partners because we both have mutual agency. That's what that means. The right to dispose of a partnership interest, Chad can say, I'm out of here. Get somebody else to run the bandsaw. He disappears, partnership's gone. That's how tenuous it is. It's gone. Even if there are more than one partner in it, or two, same deal. If one partner leaves, the partnership dissolves. It's totally dissolved. Now, obviously, there are some legal issues here and things that have to happen, like who gets the assets and all that kind of stuff. And we won't go into that a great deal quite yet. The partners each have unlimited liability. If Chad runs away with a truck, I have liability to pay for it.
So he can screw you over.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Chad's nice. He'd never do that. What you say?
I don't know about them widgets though.
Well, you're gonna sell for $1,000 a piece.
Oh, yeah, I'm saying.
And we got an 80% profit on it.
Yep.
Because you were free. Okay, a general partnership has a limited or an uncertain life. So I said, the partner leaves, maybe he dies. And even if he has a will that says, my wife takes my place, what if you don't want to have his wife as a partner?
Buy her out.
No problems, right?
You can either buy her out or say, see you later.
So there are lots of little angles here that start to exacerbate the value of a general partnership or just a partnership. Okay, and now we're going to use another term called a limited partnership. This is like a general partnership. We have a partnership here, and we have partners out here of all different kinds. This is the company. Okay, and this is me, and this is Chad, and this is, well, Judy's got a shorter name.
Thanks. Even with Christy,
It's
you
just a
still.
little bit longer.
You're the company though.
Am I the company?
Yeah. Because your name's big enough to fit in there.
Christy.
So anyway, since I'm a magnanimous person, I'm going to become the general partner. And these guys are limited partners, these two here.
You're the one who takes up the management, the bossing.
Well, it is, but the general partner manages the firm, liable for all obligations. So if the firm dissolves, the limited partners can only lose what they've invested. But the partner, the general partner, he can lose it all. Now, did you talk about any of this when you had law?
Yeah.
Yep.
Business law?
Oh, yeah.
Hey, we didn't dismiss. It's all done, right? You remember all of this? So limited partners, they can lose their capital. They have limited liability. Now, if they sign on an obligation as a signer, then they can lose that portion. But they don't participate in management because the general partner does all the managing. Now, sometimes these people are not even involved in the business.
It's just in name only, like
Just
Cook.
sometimes we call that limited liability. We also call it silent
Silent partners.
partners.
Just like with Cook, Martin, and Polson, Cook is a silent partner in the whole thing.
So they didn't used to be.
No, but he is now.
Bruce and his brother, what was his brother's name?
I don't remember.
Or Sam or something like that. They used to be very active. They used to be called Cook Targetti. And,
Yeah, now
Troy,
he's,
Troy was a student, but he was working as an intern in a place I was consulting,
yeah.
and he's really grown. It's amazing what he's done.
Cook's now on a mission.
Or they,
Yeah, last I heard, and that was about last year, but I didn't know how long.
that
it would
wouldn't,
be
that
on.
wouldn't surprise me. Okay, so this allows the general partners to raise capital without giving up managerial control. So he can add limited partners out here as many as he needs to make the business function properly.
So is that how like Shriver's is set up?
I doubt very much. Shriver's is even owned by a large corporation, I think. Shriver's is owned by, I think,
Because Shriver's, they are all
Kraft or
partners in
something
it,
like that, I
right?
think.
Well, they say we're all partners in it, but
I could be wrong. I thought Shriver's sold the company to a large conglomerate
they did.
a few years ago.
Yeah,
Or
they
is
did.
it more
So-
of a Gosner type of thing? Because
With
Gosner's
Gosner,
is a
and I don't know
family.
Gosner's structure, but it's a very good possibility that Gosner it's a family company.
Mhm.
And I don't think they've given up any of the ownership. In that case, they could be an LC, they could be a C Corp, they could be an S Corp, depends on how they want to be taxed on it. I'd be surprised if they're a C Corp, although there's could be some advantages. Why don't you want to be a C Corp if you're small like that? You know what?
Because of the double taxation.
Double taxation, see, because the corporation is taxed and the dividends are taxed. So you wind up getting, the same money gets taxed twice. My client today was, he can't get out of his head the fact that as you pay your percentage of tax on the profit sharing, And then they buy something, they pay tax on it again. He said, I don't have to do that. Why should, he's already been taxed once, why should I have to pay tax again? I go through the whole scenario about everything's taxed, and sometimes you get taxed several times on it. So, that's the way it is. Okay, joint ventures. I've been involved in a few joint ventures. I've written a lot of joint venture agreements for clients of mine. And basically, a joint venture agreement is where instead of Chad and I involved, now Judy and I, we're going to go out and say, you know, we really think we could do a great job in combining our efforts in creating this business. And so they get together and they say, okay, we're going to create this business, or let's make it even more finite. We're going to create an object, some kind of a machine or something like that.
So what would you say Icon was?
Well, Icon goes way back.
Back
I
to
knew
like, what,
Icon-
77?
I knew Icon when they couldn't do this with 2 nickels.
They've done
They
that a
were-
couple of times, right?
They were, huh?
They've done it at least a couple of times.
Well, they had 4 partners to begin with. One was a father and a son,
Mhm.
and then the 2 that are there now. And they started out, they came to me wanting software for a company they were creating for billing. And I had a software that would work for them. They didn't buy my software. I was actually with a sign company in town. They bought another one, and a few months later, they said, we should better watch yours, because they had a real mess. But they moved from that, and then they started to sell these little, actually they started to sell wood-burning stoves.
Mhm. That's how they
And that-
started out, pretty much,
Yeah, and
wasn't
then they
it?
went to the little tramps, the little small jump tramps, you know.
Yeah.
And now you know where they're at. I mean, they started from there, and they grew, and they grew, and they grew. And eventually bought the father and the son out, who both live here in town, Providence actually, good people. And then the other 2 took off, and they created a world company.
Yeah. We'll keep our mouths shut on that one.
We all have our opinions, and I have mine. So anyway, Judy and I have decided to do something together, and it has a single or limited purpose. Now, we haven't agreed to do anything more than just this one thing together. That's called a joint venture. And it looks like a partnership. It's called a joint venture because when we've accomplished this act, the joint venture dies.
Judy, can we like brush off just that quickly?
Yeah. So it has a limited life, it has a relationship governed by a written agreement, so we have a written agreement. Most of the ones, the joint venture agreements that I've been involved with have to do with oil fields or with real estate investments, where 2 people get together and they'll buy a strip mall, for example, and the whole purpose is that they'll put it together and then sell it. They'll fix it up, get it ready, and then they'll sell it. Once it's sold, the joint venture's over with. And it specifies that within the joint venture, that's the purpose. And then other times is when we have joint ventures in oil wells where they will put money in. And when we strike oil or a dry well, whatever it is, it's over with. If they hit oil, then everybody gets paid. And but if they hit a dry well, too bad, they lost you $5 million. So that's another kind of joint venture. Each party participates in management, commonly organized as corporations or partnerships. Now, these are the things, if you're going to write a partnership agreement or have one written for you, these are the things you need to be aware that are there, okay? And I won't spend a lot of time on each of these, but because they're fairly simple. Name of the company, entity of the partners, nature, purpose of the business, the date of the organization, length of time it's going to operate. Most partnerships have a termination date. Now, if you file with the state, if you're filing for a corporate name or something, and it's going to say, what's the duration of your company? You just say unlimited, usually, on it, or something to the effect saying it doesn't end. So this is a very important provision for allocation of profit and loss, or location of building, I skipped that. Provision for allocation of profit and loss. This is what kills most partnerships. They haven't talked about, okay, Chad, I get 60% and you get 35, and I'm gonna give 5% to somebody else. Okay? And Chad says, hey, I do all the work, right? I want 60. But you need to nail that down so it's very specific. So if it ever comes to an issue, the agreement controls on it, and then we stand up in court. Provision for salaries and withdrawals of partners, that's very important, because I don't want Chad, he's a 50% party, taking out 70%, and I take out 30% of the draws. Now, there may be a reason that I let Chad take 70 and I take 30, because Chad has 10 kids and I only have 2. So Chad gets to take more, and I'm willing to let him have it, even though we're 50-50 owners, you see. But we specify in a agreement these 2 items very specifically. So what is each partner going to do? Chad's going to run the back room, and I'm going to run the front room. And I'm the one who invests the money, pays the bills, whatever. Okay. Authority for each person to make contractual situations. Definitely want to have that. Procedures for admitting a new partner. We're going to talk about later, we're going to talk about admitting new partners and what that format does. How you create that. There's 2 or 3 methods to admit a new partner. And it's important that you know that how that's going to happen, because at the time, if you have to try to figure it out, it can hurt to bring in a partner for one thing, because he sees disorganization. And he can see that it's not written. So it's better if you do that right up front. What happens if a partner withdraws or the death of a partner? You know, I don't like Judy's husband. I don't want him as a partner. So when Judy dies, it's over with. He's not coming into this business. Decide that now. I'll tell you a funny story. You may have heard that before. We had 2 friends in our ward down in San Diego. They had been buddies for years and years. They got into business for themselves. They sold packaging, and they sold supplies for wrapping and so forth, gift wrapping, that kind of stuff. They were going to do it for years and years and years. And as far as I knew, they went on vacations together and so forth. Well, the husband of one of the partners passed away. And, no, the wife passed away. And so, I got that right, let's see. The wife passed away, and eventually the partnership broke up. One of them got a job in Denver, and the other one stayed where he was. I don't know what he did. The funny part is, eventually the person at Denver passed away, and many years passed, and the husband in San Diego ran into the wife at a party or something, talking, started dating, got married. And that was a good relationship, good partnership. It went on forever, for as long as it began. And I talked to her at a funeral not too many years ago. Boy, they were happy, just happy as larks. But you never know. That's the kind of partnership you want to have. One that it's open, you talk easily, each of you works hard, and that's what makes partnerships work. If there's a dispute, normally this is done by an arbitration committee. You want to specify where that is, that you're bound by arbitration. That's a good way to stay out of court. What year, when does the partnership end? Normally it's partnership usually is December. Identify initial assets, investment, who's going to put what in and how much, and how does it affect your capital structure. What happens if there's dissolution, terminating the business? We talked about that a little bit here. Accounting practice to be followed, they give you the cash basis or accrual basis. Sorry, just realized my grandson's going to have a blood transfusion again. So you want to decide what basis you do your accounting on, and whether you're going to do an audit or not. Usually small companies don't have audits. So, in the partnership agreement, there are two kinds of items you need to consider. The capital interest claim against the net assets of the partnership. That's if there's a dissolution or whatever, there's a claim against assets. The other one is the partner's capital interest is against the operations. So those are just two different ways that you look at how you have interest in the partnership. We'll see that more later as we go on. As in all good firms, you generally don't follow GAAP. The client I had this afternoon, it's about as far from GAAP as between here and Salt Lake. Eventually I'll get them to do it right, but I've been doing their taxes now for about 5 years and I still haven't gotten there. But one day we will. Small and specialized partnerships may utilize either cash basis or tax basis. I recommend that you use accrual basis because that's you can always convert to cash. But most businesses that are just starting deal on a cash basis because you've got a bucket for income and a bucket for expenses, and it's pretty easy to see where you're at. There are no accruals, nothing like that. It's just pure cash. And a lot of startup businesses don't have enough accounting experience or business experience to allow them to understand what it means to accrue something, for example. And all they know is that they got money that jingles in their pocket. That's the case of a client. So, in a partnership equity section, we have the partnership equity itself, and then a drawing account. We've seen that before, right?
Isn't that where they can draw on the capital and then by whichever partner, and you can do it whenever, but they have, usually if you're smart, you'll get the other partner's signature required on them.
Yeah. So is the capital account a credit or a debit?
It's a debit.
It's credit.
It's credit.
Huh.
So a drawing account is what? A debit.
Oh, I've got nuts.
At the end of the year, you close the drawing account to the capital account. So you have a net capital at the end of the year. Okay, a little more review. A drawing account is considered what kind of account?
What do you mean by that?
Oh.
You gotta go back a few years.
What do you mean by that?
Contra.
It's not a contra account.
It's an expense account.
Also known as a nominal account.
I was thinking there was an N word.
Small anonymity.
But you don't think, even though we call it a nominal account.
It's the N word.
Yeah, most of us don't use that term, we use another one that starts with a T.
Trial account.
Temporary.
Oh.
It's temporary because even though it's in balance sheet, it closes at the end of the period. It's really the only real temporary account in the balance sheet because it closes to zero at the end of the period.
Or did that just shift over?
It shifted.
I was able to read the whole thing.
We're having major issues.
It wasn't me, I'm too short.
We had an
Me
earthquake.
neither.
We had an earthquake. I've had this happen before, and it's, I don't have the button to auto align it, so we'll just have to live with it for a weekend. Get the other community break. Can you really see this though? Slides.
Not on the sideway, not on the side. Hey, there's a tall person.
Just building an auto focus or auto stuff. If I had the clicker, I could do that.
It's just weird how it just shifted like that, right?
I promise I didn't do it.
We were laughing.
Let me see if I do something.
None of what?
I have no idea, that came out weird.
Wow.
Yep, my words are working awesomely.
Did you say seriousness?
No, it
No.
didn't come out that way. I'm not sure what it came out as, but it was weird.
Oh, wow.
fixing it at night. That shouldn't affect this. Try turning that one on or off.
Is that what I think it says?
I don't know.
That's what it says, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Wow. Okay, I think I'm seriously having some major issues with my computer. I swear.
Don't ask me about your computer, because the one time I tried to mess with it, it was wigging out.
Yeah.
That does not go well with me.
No, I don't go well with me either. Where did that just go? I didn't even put it down. Brian, I'm having major computer issues now.
Maybe it's sent out a cold virus.
What? Is that what you did?
Yep.
Let me go grab Dale.
Dale?
Oh, he doesn't want to get bothered while he's in
You can
class.
turn it off and turn it
You're
back
a
on.
student.
Try that.
Well, I'm betting if it's like a dean, you have a different
Cool.
story. If you don't like me going and trying to bug him and find out when I can turn my computer in.
You heard to do this slide,
I
once
ain't
you turn
doing
that
yet.
off for the time
I know
being.
word.
Just maybe take a 5-minute break while we